Stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned. I am here with Coach John Brett.
And I'm here with the vet, Mr. Ian Griffin.
Man, we are tight today. We're close.
We are really close. It's a little bit kind of uncomfortable.
But, this is how soldiers sit in the back of a 5-10 deuce and a half.
Really?
Actually, a little bit closer than that. They don't care. They're just happy they got a ride and they're not walking.
That's true.
So, who's our guest today, Coach?
Man, I have a person that's on with us today that I have known literally my whole life, it seems like. I don't know. She'll tell me exactly in a minute when she actually moved to Pittsburgh, Texas. But we have Elizabeth Michaud, which Pittsburgh's own, as I'm going to say, even though she's not from Pittsburgh and doesn't live there now. Everybody, there's a bunch of friends of us still consider her a Pittsburghite. I guess they can say it. Miss Elizabeth John.
Hey there. Hi, fellas. How you doing? Yes, I'm from Pittsburgh. I like to consider myself still from Pittsburgh and still from Texas at heart. So, and lately, Texas has been calling my name for various reasons. So it's never left my heart. Ever.
Wow.
Never. No. I've been all over the South per se, Florida, sort of the South, Louisiana and Atlanta or Georgia now, but Texas always got a special place in my heart forever. So.
Well, I have to say this for sure. There's no doubt, and all my friends know it, ones that comment behind the scenes and one that comment on the scenes on Facebook, that Elizabeth is 100% my favorite Democrat, progressive, liberal, whatever name you want to put to it. Not in Texas, but in the world.
Oh my God.
People, you have no idea how many times I get somebody will send me a message on Messenger. How are you friends? How can you deal? I said, dude, we're really good friends. Leave it alone.
Right. Just let it go. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we got some questions today.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Let's do it.
So the first thing we're going to talk a little bit about President Biden's Supreme Court nominee here in his pick. So
this came up just recently when Breyer decided that he was going to retire, which and many had known over the last 2 or 3 years it was coming up. But the question that we have that we're going to bring up with her is, do you think it goes against equality how the President of the United States selected the new Supreme Court justice? Just simple question.
You want me to go?
Yeah, go.
Go ahead, Myra, mute your stuff for a second, please.
Mute. He'll get it.
Yep.
Honestly, I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
Okay.
First of all, can you hear it? There he goes. Go.
Okay.
Yeah. First of all, I personally don't think it's a problem the way he introduced her. It never even crossed my mind that it was an issue. Based on how, the 14th Amendment is worded, but it never even crossed my mind. I didn't have any kind of problem with it because that's what he said he was going to do. I don't think it's anything different than when Trump said he was going to pick someone who was pro-abortion or what have you. It didn't even faze me at all. I'm happy to see that he chose her and that we're going to have someone who represents someone who looks like me, an American in this country, but one who looks like me, Black and a woman. So I'm very excited about it. I don't have any problem with it.
All right. Well, hey, and one of the first things I want to say is her qualifications are impeccable. When I looked up her information, looked up, what she's been doing, there's no doubt that this woman is qualified to be at the highest court of the land. There's no doubt about that. That was never a question for me. I had concerns just from an equal employment opportunity or a Civil Rights Act type of issue of when you say you're just going to, one person for one job, I had the issue with that, but there's no doubt in my mind that this person is just as qualified as any of the other 8 justices she's going to sit with. Ira, I don't know if you heard the question, Ira, so I'm going to go and read it to you so I can get your thoughts on it. Do you think it goes against equality how the President of the United States selected the new Supreme Court justice?
Well, my answer to that is, I think, simple. They were saying you serve at the pleasure of the president. I got that. And going back just a little, just put a little history behind the affirmative action program. There was a time period by which affirmative action was, I think, very effective for this nation here because there were a lot of things, for instance, for the Black folk or the other minorities that didn't have equal footing to the white counterparts. So I can understand that too. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to put a person who's unqualified in a position just because of a skin color or sex or something like that. I think that person is discriminating. That's just from a historical perspective. But nonetheless, I don't think that the makeup of the court is going to change any different. I believe that she will be confirmed. But at the same time, she does have an impeccable, resume, if you will. But conversely, there are other equally, if not more qualified Black women that should have or could have been considered for this thing here, but of a more conservative nature, but was not. I would rather have someone who's straight line to the Constitution as opposed to someone who's a strict ideologue who's going to just carry water for the president. For me, any nominee for the Supreme Court justice should be a standalone and should be one that equally challenges the other two co-equal branches of the government, if you will, here. Again, it's a show. I think she would be, pardon the term, I don't want to use the term, but I'll say a kind of a token show here. And, we have to look back even at the Clarence Thomas confirmation hearing, where Joe Biden was really at arms and really just dogged out Clarence Thomas. So I believe equal footing, question the heck out of her, let her sweat, fine, she'll be confirmed, and be done with it. It's not to change anything. If confirmed, she'll be there for the next 40 years. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I hope I answered the question.
And to touch on that just a little bit, I hope that we do not get into a Bork situation or a Clarence Thomas situation. I hope the questions are just questions need to be asked. Get this woman affirmed. She needs to be on the court. My only question and concern was if you come out and use race, sex, or religion as a prerequisite for any type of job, are we setting some type of standard that we shouldn't have, not for a Supreme Court, but just for Dillard's, down the street at the mall? Should we say I'm only going to hire a white person that's male or female for this position, or Hispanic male only for this position? So it never really, and yet we knew he was going to pick somebody that was qualified. It wasn't that we didn't think that. It's that once you open that door, do you open that door? Is it opened up where people can say, yeah, but we've got this going on? So I was really a bit, worried and concerned with the whole aspect of, I am going to nominate an African-American female. That was the only thing that I was concerned about.
So for me, I think Judge Jackson is qualified. I don't see a problem with it. I think we make a whole lot more of the Supreme Court nominees, and I'll cover that in my question here in a minute, but I think we make more about the theatrics, as Ira points out in there, than we need to. My deal is with this is, I kind of agree, is 12% of Americans are Black. And now we cut that in half. So we pull from a population of 6% of America. That's what we just pull from. That is exactly what the president threw out there. I'm going to pull my Supreme Court nominee from the 6%. Hey, the nominee is not the issue. It's how he did it and how he went about it. If he'd have just sit there and go, I'm taking the best qualified person, then it leaves no doubt in anybody's mind when he says, Judge Brown is it. She's the best one of everybody. But now what it does, and not necessarily me, but what it does to naysayers, because you've seen this when we do Army selection things, is, well, I need somebody that's diverse in this job here. And I used to ask the question when they said that, I said, because they would come to me and say, Sergeant Major, don't we need more diversity here? And I said, well, don't you just want the best person? Because normally diversity will rise to the top anyhow. The best person will normally rise to the top anyhow, the cream of the crop. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Ian, I believe you nailed it right there. I think words, and they were saying words have meaning. I think had the president just say, I'm going to choose from 6% of the population, and I will make my announcement when all said and done, all the interviews are conducted or concluded. And I think that would have put a great number of people at ease, if you will. Just simply put that by saying I'm going to pick a Black woman, as opposed to a qualified white male or a qualified white woman to be the next justice, that opened up a can of worms. And that's, to me, I'm going to chalk that up as another Biden gaffe, something that he wasn't well read into or his staff didn't prepare him for. And he just got to not make mistakes like that, in my opinion.
All right, I appreciate that. What I want to get to is go to Elizabeth, because I know Elizabeth might not totally agree with that. And that's exactly why we have both of you on here, because I want to get both sides of the argument. Elizabeth, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Ian said something, we want the best candidate, and because, the best ones will automatically rise to the top. That's the whole nature of affirmative action. You've always had good people who were not in the majority, who were constantly passed over. That was the whole purpose of that. Of course, the ideal is that the best person for the job, despite race, creed, and all that other stuff, is going to present themselves and make themselves stand out. But when that was the case, before we had affirmative, that wasn't happening. You had people who were good for the job, constantly looked over because of their race. That was the norm. So, and these affirmative action laws haven't been around that long, all things considered, only about 60 years or so. And so we're 70. My math is not that great, admittedly, but I mean, they haven't been around that long. Okay. And there's still a large inequity in our hiring practices and all these things. And so that's one. The other thing is, and I understood what you were saying, Brent, about him making that announcement publicly, but I think it's kind of naive to think that behind closed doors, that's not what people aren't saying. They're not, are they sitting there quietly saying, well, we're just going to pick the best candidate? No, they're looking and saying, we need a black person for this one. We need a white person for this one. And I don't believe that I don't believe that without that's going to happen. Okay.
And I totally agree, Elizabeth. There's no doubt that behind the scenes, and it should be this way. And I'm not thinking that there should be differences, in the front and behind the scenes, but that's just the nature of it. And sometimes that takes the politics out of it as much, when you can say, hey, you're behind the scenes, say, look, when this job comes up, we're going to make sure that the best possible African-American female, the best possible Asian American, whatever, or make sure they get the opportunity to, interview for the job. But you just tell the public, hey, we're going to get the best person in every single sector of our country will be available, to choose from. But, I do think it is the time, and Ira, Elizabeth, I want you both to know, I do think it's the time that we do have a black female at this court. I just didn't like the way that it was done. Her, like we both have said, she's impeccable. And if you were to say, let's take, 10 from here and 10 from there and 10 from other, she would have rose to the top to being a top 2 or 3 candidate, no matter what. That's my belief. I just hope that it doesn't set a precedent going forward in the country where someone can ever say, black, white, Asian, whatever, that I have for this next job that I'm pulling from. I'm not looking at the best overall candidate to even start there. Where I'm going to start is I want the best, white guy to do it. I just hope that it doesn't push that way. That's my hope.
So with that is I'm going to move on to the next set of questions here. And so what I got here is we kind of already talked about the qualification. I think everybody agrees they think she's pretty qualified. So we're not even going to talk that. But in the last few confirmation hearings we've had is, and I'll reference the Kavanaugh case, where we had practically a public lynching is probably what we really had. We had people who were paid protesters there. That was proven. We had people that were real protesters there. We had people that were filtered in at the last minute and things of that nature. And then we had character assassinations. And to me personally, I don't know, I think I just need to know what their judgment is. I need to know what their judgment is. If they can take the law and apply it to the Constitution, or they can't. And that's the way, in fact, for me. But do you think that this confirmation hearing will be much more cordial than it was with Kavanaugh? And I'm going to ask Ira first, and then I'll go to Elizabeth after that, okay? So go ahead, Ira.
I sincerely believe that this confirmation hearing, and I will definitely watch it, as I have since Justice Thomas was going through his confirmation, or his trials, if you will. I think the questions are going to be softball questions. This is me. I think they're going to be softball questions, and I think people are going to walk on eggshells because they don't want to offend. And I think probably a factor in choosing her was, well, in this day and age, you don't want to be seen as one who's belittling or not choosing or just beating up on a black female, a black helpless female. And that might be a narrative in some people's minds and heart that they say, well, if you say no to her because she's black, then, well, you're a racist, things like that, or you just don't like women. And I hope that doesn't go that way. And I hope the questions are as serious as they put the Kavanaugh, or even back when Justice Thomas was going through, because like everything, they make everything about sex or by race, or in the case by color. So what if somewhere back in her days, as going through college, well, she may have had a boyfriend. I don't know. I'm just going off tangent here. So what if some dirt come out on her? I don't know. Will they question her like they did Kavanaugh? Would they accuse him of rape, or would they accuse her of, having more than one boyfriend or something? I don't know. It's softball questions. So it's just going to be very interesting to see how the senators go about questioning her, what questions should be put towards her.
Okay.
And that's speculation just from myself.
So I'm gonna get to Elizabeth here. Coach got some questions, but I do got a follow up later here, a reference to her being the first African American female, because that's not necessarily the case. And we'll take Joe Biden's stance on that here in a minute on how he did.
Yeah, let Elizabeth go ahead.
But I'm gonna let Elizabeth go ahead here. So go ahead, Elizabeth.
Okay, if you're talking about being cordial, really and truly, I don't know, because I'm big on being respectful and being cordial. We can argue whatever we want, but there's a place and a tone that you need to have to be able to have these conversations, whatever the issue is. And I got to tell you, in my opinion, once Obama came to office, you saw a deterioration of just simple, basic civility, which always bothers me. Brent, I used to go ballistic, when Trump was there and he's just being rude and obnoxious. It used to make me mental. Okay. We're just talking about the basic tenets of just being polite. That really bothers me. It doesn't matter that you're having some kind of issue, that maybe there's some kind of question in her background or what have you. Just, you can have all these questions under the sun. But, our political system should be based on notion of civility and cordiality. We're supposed to be all Americans. We're supposed to be all into this together. We should be able to talk to each other in a manner where we can, go through our differences, whatever they are, and find some kind of common ground and do it in a polite manner. People don't know how to talk to each other these days, this day and age. And that's when things get heated. You and I argue all the time, but we're not name calling and stuff. And other people will come in, for example, into our conversations. And then that's when I blow up, because I'm like, look, why are you coming at me this way? You don't know me. I don't know you. Especially among strangers, just basic civility is very important, especially when you don't know people. So I don't see why we shouldn't be able to have cordial interrogation of this woman, but I don't know that it will happen. The tone has been changing since Obama's, and mind you, as far as I'm concerned, Obama wasn't one to just fly off the handle and call you this, that, and the other unnecessarily. But I can remember one of those State of the Unions where people started heckling him. That was unheard of, but everybody thought it was fine to do. And low key, people thought it was fine because it's a black man. We don't have to show him any respect. So I hate to be the one to point it out, but if she has a difficult time, it might come to be that somebody's like, well, maybe there is because she's black and they're trying to show her a little disrespect. I say this to you, and mind you, the last person who was confirmed, I forgot her name. I think her name was Elizabeth too, but I don't remember.
Keegan?
No. ACB. Barrett.
Oh, yeah.
Coney Barrett.
Coney Barrett. Yeah.
Okay.
Amy Coney Barrett.
I don't think she had, I don't think there was any kind of issue. So I when they were interrogating her, of course, there was a question about whether she'd vote for abortion or not, no doubt. But the tone I think was appropriate. And I don't think it got ugly. So, I mean, if you're just talking strictly about being cordial, we'll see. I don't know. But, with Trump coming in, then you have these other crazy people, Marjorie Taylor Greene and all these other people just shouting off and mouthing off and don't know. I don't know. I would hope it would be cordial, because when it is, then you can kind of get to the fruit of the matter, but I don't know if it will be. And if people are ugly, people start to get heated. And then that's when you see their ugly side come out. I've gone off every once in a while on your page, Brent, it was because somebody's coming at me and I'm like, dude, you don't friggin' know me.
You don't even know. Yeah. That's the difference.
So and when you do that, it's hard to have a civil conversation. It's hard to find out what people are thinking. So I don't know.
My thought on this is it's going to be more civil than Kavanaugh, but that's not should be the standard. This started a few decades ago when we had the Bork hearings. That kind of was like, wow. And then, okay, it can't get anywhere. Then we had the Clarence Thomas, and it was like, just going whatever. And it's just kind of gotten a little bit worse and worse when it comes to these. Most people don't realize that most of your confirmation hearings for Supreme Court justices were somewhere like 95-5 or 96-4 for a century or even further than that. Only in the last few decades has it gotten to be political, where it's just my side's going to vote for this and your side's going to vote for that. And that's absolutely just ridiculous. What I hope they do to this woman is I hope they ask her questions like they do for all of them about her record, about her past voting on certain issues that are hotbed issues coming up. If they ask her, are you going to vote for this on abortion or that on immigration? You can't answer those. You just can't. And people say, well, they really don't answer questions. Well, they can't answer questions on cases that are going to come to them in the future. Now, they can't they can't answer based on ideology. And sometimes you kind of want to press that. But this lady that here, she should be based, just like Kavanaugh his questions should have been based on his record, based in the as a lawyer, based also what he's going to do as the Supreme Court. Now it's become more of the personal, what's going on in your lifetime. And I hope they don't do it. I hope it stops here and it gets nicer. That's what I hope that.
So I got one quick thing here real quick, and I'm just throwing this out there real quick, and take about 10 seconds to hit it up. But I don't know if anybody's aware of it, but
I know this woman.
George W. Bush, he nominated the first African-American woman to be the Supreme Court Justice, Judge Janice Rogers Brown. And Biden was the one. He went on CBS Face the Nation, and he was the one that says, we will invoke the filibuster, which was never heard of before regarding to a Supreme Court justice. So Biden threatened it to be an unprecedented move with the filibuster. Because of that, George W. Bush wound up pulling that nominee because of that. And Samuel A. Alito is there now, And so when we talk about affirmative action, there was going to be a selectee before, but people threw a shit fit is the bottom line, because it wasn't their party picking the person, is what it seemed to be. And she's a very accomplished judge. She never got up there because of the political threat that happened. And now the very person that did that instrumented that, is the person selecting. So he's getting a feather in his hat, which, okay, whatever, dude. I just want quality 9 judges. At the end of the day. So I'm going to throw it over to our Elizabeth first, and I'll throw it over to our. Is that good?
Yeah, I think people can change. I don't think people give other people enough credit for that you can change your ideology. Certainly, politics always plays a role in these type of things. There's no way around it. People want to be reelected, and they want to know that they're going to get the support of the people that are their constituents. So sure, I think it's ironic, but again, he picked someone who was qualified. He picked someone who's got impeccable credentials now. And so I'm going to assume that the guy changed. He changed faithfully to his beliefs. He made he carefully thought over what he was doing. And I don't think we give enough credit, again, to people who change their opinions and their ideas over time. And so I'm not going to really bash the guy, because at the end of the day, as a Black woman, I'm getting something that I want on the court. So I'm not going to really worry about it too much. She's qualified. She could do the job. I'm impressed with her record, so I'm not even going to sweat the small stuff.
Okay, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it over to Ira real quick so we can get moving on. Thank you much. Go ahead, Ira.
I would like to judge people, again, as Martin Luther King said, not by the color of their skin, but by the content of character. And the other thing, Lyndon Baines Johnson, a former Democrat president, once said, in order to be the president of the United States, it's like being a jackass in a hailstorm. You have to stand out there and take it. Now, I watched Barack Obama, going back, just lambaste people many times, but he did it in a very nice, nasty way. And that's fine. And I like a person who hit back and hit back hard. Got it. So barring that. But in this case here, with the nominee, it's fine. Like I said, she will be confirmed. I want the questions to be fair. I want them to be across the board, just like any other thing. I want them to find out the basic substance that she is made of. And, even to the point that not all of her cases, but the cases that she actually had, the decisions that she actually had overturned by other higher courts and stuff. Again, let's go back. Remember that she is a judge. She has been confirmed by the plurality of the Senate before and other things. I don't think she'll have a problem getting in there. I just want the questions to come out so the nation can see with full blinders off of what we're going to get for the next 40 years. That's all I want. I don't give a crap if she's a man, woman, he, she, they, whatever. I just want the person to be to the Constitution for the American people and check and balance the other two branches of government. That's all I want. I think that's what any American would want. Fairness in our judicial system, not a double standard, not a separate standard.
Sounds good. So with that there, I'm going to throw it over to the coach and let him go around, and he got a few things. Go ahead, coach.
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank both of you for coming on here. And second thing is this, the Supreme Court has always been one of my fascinations. I love the way the court's made up. I love having why is, if you just read a document, why is it not always 9-0? I mean, everybody's reading the same document. Why is it a 6-3? Why is it a 5-4? And it's always interesting that even though we don't want there to be politics or involved or ideologies shouldn't push it. I mean, we're human, and it's always going to be a human thing. We have so many conservatives and so many, liberal people, they call them on the court, but they don't all rule the same way all the time. What I want from this lady is what I want from anyone. I don't care if it's Trump giving them the nomination or Obama or whoever, is just to read the document, what's best, that you see here for the precedent of our country that we have already been set. And even sometimes you have to look at the days different than it was 100 years ago. I understand that. The document doesn't change. Sometimes society changes. I just hope they treat her fairly. I do not want to see a Brett Kavanaugh ever again. And Elizabeth knows this because her and I had many conversations about it. I don't care who it is. I don't ever want to see that again in our nation's history when it comes to the Supreme Court, pick.
So I got one thing here, and I'm going to throw it around real quick. Let Elizabeth give us some parting shots. Ira, give us some parting shots. When you do a Senate confirmation hearing, it is elected officials that is supposed to be the more classier branch of the government. They're supposed to be more seasoned. They're supposed to be more respectful. And a Senate confirmation hearing on a judge should be done in a history class in high school. Should be able to watch it. In junior high, should be able to watch it. Our kids should be able to watch that and understand what it takes to become a judge. I would not want anybody in school to watch the Judge Kavanaugh hearing. They are elected officials to represent the nation, and they have no more right than the guy sitting there that they're questioning. Whether it's a guy or gal, everybody should be treated completely with dignity and respect in there. And there was a complete lack of that in every shape, form, or fashion the whole time. And to me, I'm like, who the flip are you? We voted you in. That's all you are. You're nothing else than that. So who are you to sit there and do that? If he just walked out, he wouldn't have got the job. But if he just walked out, he could have just walked out. But he had to endure it because that was the political circus that we had. And I think no person should ever go through this. And I pray that this judge should never go through this. She will be a justice. She got selected, and she carries that position and moves on. My
famous quote, Elizabeth, you've seen it probably 7 or 8 times the last couple of years, is elections have consequences. You can be mad all you want to about Joe Biden, the way he did it, but in reality, he got that the nod to make this nomination on election day. So however he wants to make it, however he wants to say it, really, we just have, you got to deal with it.
So with that, we're about to get out of here, but I'm going to throw parting shots to Elizabeth here real quick. So go ahead, Elizabeth.
I don't know if I have any parting shots. I just, I'm very glad that he nominated her. Again, like I said, I think that the court should reflect our country, the makeup of our country. The time of, having 9 white men, that's passé, and it's not a reflection of who all of us are that make up our country. And what makes up our country, what makes our country great is our diversity. And I know there are people out there trying to fight it tooth and nail. And I think you do that at our detriment to what we can still become. And so I'm happy to see her up there. I'm hoping she gets confirmed with no problem. And I think it's a good day for America. I know the next seat is going to be really the one that's going to be controversial, because that one will probably change the makeup depending on if it's coming from the right or the left. but it's not going to change
Elections
the
have
makeup.
consequences.
Right.
November's going to decide that for sure.
Absolutely. So we'll go. I mean, we'll go from there. But you know, I'm happy that she's being confirmed. My bad.
Cool.
So,
All right. So I'm gonna get Ira on here. Go ahead, Ira.
It's a good thing that people come with expiration dates, and justices do not live forever, although they may think they. However, she's in for probably the next 40 years to become 80. But let's look at, like, I want to term limit politicians. Should there be a lifetime appointment for justices? That's a question I would have. Or they say 10 or 15 years a pop or something like that, or 20 years and call it a day. I don't know. If you want to have diversity, Elizabeth, and if you talk about, I think we're very diverse here, but we each have our opinion. But maybe if we shorten the term per se, we can actually have more people to become justices in the future. Because as a federal judge, state judge, or Supreme Court justice, you don't need a Juris Doctorate or to even be a lawyer in order to be a judge. You just simply have to get the nomination, get the job, and there you are. That's the sweet thing about the Constitution. It allows the average American to become a judge.
All right. So with that, we got to get out of here because we're burning daylight, and I'm going to throw it over to the coach.
And to the vet.
So it's time to say, stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned.